Welcome back to Great Day St. Louis. When it's a conversation with younger children, we tend to call it the birds and the bees talk. But how do you have a more grown up conversation with your teens about sex? Behavioral pediatrician Dr. Tim Jordan joins us now with some tips. My plan was just to have him come over to the Chambers house when the time comes, but I guess I'll try to put on my big boy pants and get some expert tips from him. How are you, Dr. Jordan? It's good to see you.
I'm doing good. You know, it's
So it
interesting. We
sounds
get,
like if I'm
yeah,
reading your I'm sorry, if I'm reading your mind correctly, it sounds like we're kind of approaching this wrong. Really, sex education is more about relationship education, and it should start very young. Is that right?
right. It should start way before the teen years. It can start when your kids are little because I do believe that most of the talk should be a series of behaviors and talks over time, which is about teaching kids about, first of all, in your home, do they feel loved? Do they feel important? Do they feel safe? Do they feel heard? Because if they grow up in a home where they feel like they deserve to have that, that becomes a template for every relationship after that. Friendships, dating relationships, husband and wife kinds of things later on. So I think if you focus on, let's make sure our kids feel all those things and they know they deserve that, then they will attract that as well.
And I would imagine that a huge part of that is modeling, right? They're going to mimic the relationships that they see around them. But I want to be an active teacher, an active participant in this as well. So, what kind of advice do you have?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities to teach kids relationship skills, if you will. Things like resolving conflicts peacefully, learning how to ask for what you want in a way that's appropriate, learning how to set boundaries. And those are the kinds of things you can practice with, siblings, because siblings obviously, I'm sure this happens in your house occasionally. Siblings get into it, so you can teach them the skills to resolve conflicts. Also, you can have kids role play and give them feedback about how they're coming across. Are they being too aggressive? Are they being not assertive enough? Are they being wimpy? I do this with girls in my camps and things a lot, and they come across a lot of times so wimpy. So they need to learn about their body language and their tone of voice and the words they use, so they know how to take care of themselves.
How important is it, do you think, to instill this sense in our kids that they need to trust their gut? Because on one hand, I feel like that makes perfect sense. On the other hand, my oldest is about to turn 13, and the idea of me telling him to trust his gut feels a little far-fetched right now. You know what I mean?
Well, but it's not just about things with boyfriend girlfriend things where you need to trust your gut. It's also about just things about any kind of situation in life. There's always the places where you go in environments. Do you feel safe? Do you feel comfortable? What is your gut telling you about this person across from you? Do they feel like a good kind of person you want to be friends with? This is somebody who gives you kind of creepy vibes, if you will. And so I teach kids to always, no matter what situation they're in or who they're with, to check in and say, how do I feel right now? Do I feel safe? Do I feel respected? Do I feel comfortable? And if so, then you hang in there and have a new friend. If you don't, I always teach kids you trust your gut no matter what, because our brains are picking up millions of little tiny things every second that our conscious brain is not aware of. So I always say trust your gut no matter what.
You all also say, especially when it comes to daughters, that we need to respect their boundaries. Elaborate on that a bit. What do you mean by that?
Well, little simple things like if you're wrestling or tickling them or teasing them, which a lot of times dads do that with their daughters, which is fun, it's okay.
Sure.
But if your daughter says stop, then you stop. To teach them that that's how you should be treated also by your dating partner someday. If you say stop, then they should respect that. And we need to teach
Hmm.
them things about what does respect look like in a relationship. Yeah, and I think for boys, if I can flip it around a bit, I think what boys need a lot in relationships is to be aware of nonverbal cues, body language, because boys are oblivious to that more so than girls. So to teach them to be aware of how's that person looking? Are they leaning in? Do they look comfortable? Does it look like somebody who wants to keep talking to you? And if not, notice that and shift, change the way you're speaking to somebody or treating somebody.
Great points. And again, so much of that comes from experience and from modeling
Yeah,
that kind of behavior at home. Dr. Jordan, thank you so much for the insight. We really appreciate it. For more advice and
always.
tips, you can visit Dr. Jordan's blog. We're going to post a link to that on our website, along with this segment right after the show today. That'll be at kmov.com/great day.